Hello.
And then you want to switch it up to comments to make sure that
Comments, yeah.
in case anybody actually wants to comment. We're early, so
If you don't, we're early. We're early times.
$7.99.
Granules of Jack Daniels. What's up, everybody? Welcome. We are mad early. It is what time is it? Let's see. Check the time on the 9.
It's not quite
9:24. I know you guys are like 9:24. Have you guys been hitting?
I'm still in the middle of dinner.
Have you been hitting the booze again? No,
Booze
never.
again.
Booze again. What is that? Is that a new flavor? Is that a new car?
No, if you're hitting it, then it's like a
Boozigan.
one of those practice things.
Have you been driving the new Bugatti Boozigan?
We already got hit
Who is this person?
from Twitch.
Deep 639. Oh, Deep 6. What's going on, man? It has been a while. What's up, buddy? How are you doing? It's been a minute. MVP. Zach Attack. Andy is trash. What's up, Andy? What's going on? Welcome. You guys are actually seeing the show I do normally at 10 o'clock.
That's right.
Where we talk about all kinds of stuff like you see back here. Like you see the Alien Encounters book at my hand. Did I get it right? Oh my gosh, I got a point right there. Tutankhamun is right next to it, all that jazz. That's what we're talking about tonight. If you guys want to leave some comments about what your favorite cryptid, what your favorite UFO story, anything you got, ghosts, spirits, whatever you have, drop it in the comments. Ingrain Cyclist, what is up, buddy? We know who you are, sir.
But do you know who we are?
I don't think he does. He probably does, though. A little bit, maybe. I don't know. John Cena? I never could find that guy.
Yeah, could never see him.
But yeah, so this is the show. I know a lot of you are on my Twitch right now, like, why isn't he playing games? We will be doing a little light streaming later, playing some Bushido Blade in a 1v1 cycle of violence that I hope you're all ready for. I'm prepared for it. I can't put the glasses on because you can't see my face, my eyes real well because the glare from the whatever's UFOs. But yeah, so what are you guys up to tonight? What's everybody into tonight? We had a fantastic time today at the Pink House in Canal Fulton. Now, before any of you get the idea, it is not a strip club.
No.
All right, it is not a strip club. Google it if you think we're lying. But it is an old house that was home to a doctor who tried to poison his wife. And we talked to a local historian about that place.
Mm-hmm.
Who could it be? Who could it be now? Yeah, see? We're amazing. We're amazing. Zach says, I'm watching Black Panther. Oh. Wakanda Returns Forever? Wakanda Forever. I don't know if those friends. Or the first one. First one was good. I didn't see Wakanda Forever yet. So this is kind of like an AMA style show. So ask us anything. If you guys have questions, if you have questions about what our favorite cryptid is, what our favorite UFO movie is, what our favorite Pinochle game we've played is, I wouldn't ask that because I don't have one or played Pinochle. I'm a grown adult. The first one, I believe. That's a good one. I like the first one. So you guys want to let some questions fly? We'll answer them. If not, we're going to talk for a little bit, and then we're going to skedaddle. Now, if you guys are wondering why it says Skater and Avalanche, that was a skit we might work on in the future for something that would be utterly freaking hilarious.
I have to practice my half pipe.
You had to I had to press my 1080, my ollies. You know what it is. So yeah, welcome. So today like I said, we went to Canal Fulton. We interviewed somebody very awesome. We got to see the Pink House. It's an Airbnb now, so the mystique is kind of off.
Yeah, it's been remodeled a bit from what it was before, and who knows?
Kudos. Apple
we
Tree
did take an
Jamboree is here.
EVP.
Hello, Apple.
We did take an EVP.
Oh yeah, we haven't listened to that
cellar,
yet.
which was the most ghosty area of the house at this point because it's the oldest. Yes. It hasn't been renovated like the rest of it has. And we set up my phone to see if we can catch any sort of ghostly sounds.
Yes.
We have to go through that this week.
It was so weird going from the I shouldn't say upstairs, the first floor that has been modernized, that has been renovated, right?
Yeah.
To the cellar or the basement that has 100% not been renovated at all. Like I was mixing modernized and renovated.
Even the brickwork, because it's got they used to print on the side of every brick, like the company that made the bricks, and that was all still there. So it was super interesting. I kind of wanted to stay there a little bit longer for that part.
I kind of want to sleep there, take a little nap. It's comfortable. Andy is trash says, have you ever had an encounter with a UFO? Have you?
An encounter? No.
Okay.
I had a dream once as a kid of an abduction. and like getting like experimented on, but I think it was just a dream. I mean, who knows? I
That's
don't
it.
have like that. If everybody watched the X-Files and you know the little chip they get in the back of their neck, I don't have one of those. I thought I did for a while when I was a kid, but there's
It was removed. So, but yes, I have actually had an encounter with one. Not up close and personal, but this was back in about 2020, I want to say, like 2019, 2020. I want to say summer of 2019, actually. Yeah, summer 2019. And I remember looking up at the sky. No, this was summer 2020. My bad. It was summer 2020. I remember looking up at the sky, and I watched this. If anybody's ever seen Flight of the Navigator, and nobody has seen this movie,
Yeah, Flight of the
you've seen
Navigator.
it,
Yeah.
right? Where the kid gets on that ship,
yeah.
and then
And
he
then-
goes and then into the thing, comes back, goes to see his parents. His parents are like, you haven't been here for 30 years. They're
Yeah.
all old.
And then he
Thank
goes to that
you.
shadow universe and everything like that, and yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. It exists. It's a real freaking movie.
it does.
Thank you.
It was a Disney movie, and it had a soundtrack composed by Alan Silvestri.
Thank you. Thank you. So I was looking up at the sky, and I would definitely answer this question. I was looking up at the sky, and I remember seeing this seed-like shaped UFO. And I remember it moved from like right about here where my thumb is to where my index is. Now, when I measure that, obviously that's a lot further because for scale. And then it disappeared and reappeared. I was like, okay, that's different. 2 weeks later, a fortnight, if you will, I saw it again, do the same exact thing. So that was my only encounter with UFO.
And they would classify that as what, an encounter of the first kind because you
Yes.
saw it
Yes.
and you didn't actually physically, because there's the first, there's a second,
Second,
the
there's the
third
third
is
and
where
the
they
fourth.
actually like come down and meet you face to face.
The fourth is, I think, where they experiment on you,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Something like that, or there's physical interaction rather than it just being there in front
Yeah.
of you.
They're,
It's actually
I
like they
forget how
touch
that
you
works.
and yeah.
What's the weirdest dream you've ever had?
Well, I had a series of dreams.
Tell them about. Oh, I'll
I had a series of dreams, and one of them was strange in a way because you were in it, and there was a guy in there who was supposed to be your uncle who was in it. It wasn't that kind of a dream. It was in a series of dreams in like a semi-dystopian future where there were zombies. Okay,
Oh, I remember this. I remember something.
and like it was this big forested area in like the Pacific Northwest for some reason, and that's what stuck out in my mind. Like my mind recognized it as it's in the Pacific Northwest. There's trees everywhere.
Right.
And I was trying to get away from this camp of survivors. And you showed up with this guy who was supposed to be your uncle
I know my uncle's with me.
in this late 90s Mustang. Okay.
Okay.
And you were like, here, we know you got to go. Take our car. And so I drove off in your car. And then behind me, I saw these big like ships that were supposed to be from the government, like big helicopters.
Right. Like Black Hawk Down.
Yeah, and they were blasting into the forest to destroy the zombies with like missiles and stuff like that. And if I'd have stayed there, I'd gotten killed by missiles. And I don't know what happened to you and your uncle. I don't even know if he was really your uncle because I've never met any of your uncles.
My uncles were dead before.
I've never met
no.
any of them. I think he looked a little bit like your dad. And I think that's what my brain was doing. It was
Uncle
like, your
Dad.
uncle would be kind of like, because he's related,
I like this
so they would look similar. But it was part of a series of zombie dreams in a future like that. And that was weird.
For me, it was both one of the weirdest, one of the coolest dreams I've ever had in my life, and I still remember it vividly. I dreamed that I lived in a place where there was nothing but satellites, and they were looking for something. Every day they were looking for something, and these were satellites. If you guys have ever seen GoldenEye, what's a satellite? Where is it at? They dismantled it. Remember, it fell apart.
The Arecibo array. Isn't it?
Yes, yes. If you've ever seen that satellite, it is massive. Those were like everywhere in my dream. And then there were like many satellites and there were other satellites and it was searching for something. It was searching for like extraterrestrial life or other dimensions. But I remember I woke up in this place and I went outside and there was just satellites everywhere. And if you guys have ever seen any science fiction movies, any science fiction videos where they show the planet next to a planet and it's massive, so you still see the planet itself. There was a satellite that was that big to where it was just this massive satellite that could be seen from anywhere on the planet that I was living on. And I remember being like, I don't want to leave this dream. And then I woke up and I was mad. But I've always remembered that dream ever since then. Satelliteville, yeah. Green Bank, yeah. That it was just satellites. That was it. It was nothing but satellites, and it was very vivid. Like when you have a dream and it's very vivid, where you remember finite details. It was really cool to me. Like it was a really cool dream. Ingrain Cyclist says, "How do you guys feel about the UFO buzz rising up recently?" How do you feel?
I'm on the fence about it because
Whose fence?
well, my fence because I have a good fence.
I have a good fence.
But
it's offenses.
It's interesting because there's a lot of like disclosures, quote unquote, and things coming out from people within the Pentagon and things like that. But I feel like it's also sensationalism on the part of people higher up to try to get us distracted again. I don't want to call it like false flag kind of stuff, but I feel like a lot of it's being like, oh yeah, we've got all this evidence because it's trying to distract us from something else going on in the world.
I'm all for it. I think that it's a place where it's being more accepted for people to believe this stuff, as to where when we were kids, it really wasn't acceptable. You were kind of a weirdo or a crackpot. And I think that now that this is all coming to the forefront, I believe it does one of two things. One, it creates the avenue of learning and education in regards to this kind of thing. And two, it sort of validates what our ancestors were saying when they would look up in the sky and see random things happening. So, Apple says these are different planes of reality, referring to dreams. She's always believed, and that dreams are super real. I believe that in a sense. Yes, I believe that maybe if we go on the idea of string theory, and you are in multiple dimensions at once, moving parts, pieces, that every action you make creates variations of said dimension. Right? We're talking we're talking the calculator with a giant number with an E to it, right? Because it just keeps going. An infinite realm of possibilities, even down to the finest minute detail of, okay, I didn't have coffee today. So how did that change things? But it still changes things, even though it's very minute, right? Or what if I decided to work out today instead of not working out? How did that, you know what I mean? What did that affect? And I think it's the same basic concept. I think that branches off. And I think those parts maybe have their own life and do their own thing. She also says, no, not all dreams. The ones that seem exceptional are different and special. That was the dream. That was the satellite for me. And not all dreams, no. Some dreams are utterly ridiculous.
Yeah, like there's a lot of them where, like I have these constant dreams where I have to go to the bathroom, of course, because that means your body in real life has to go to the bathroom. But in the dream, you look around for a bathroom or you look around for something and you can't seem to find it.
I always just go in the dreams, but then like that's not a good thing when you wake up. It's weird. But I'm always on the toilet when I wake up. It's weird. It's a weird thing. Kidding. I don't have I don't really dream much.
I do constantly, like all the time, and it's usually something. It's always specific things all the time. Like I had that series of the zombie dreams for a while, and then when I was younger, in my 20s, I always used to dream. And when a teenager into my 20s, I always used to dream of a dragon. A very specific dragon. It was brown. It had more like, how dragons have some more lizard-like heads or more cat-like heads or more dog-like heads.
Yes, I played a lot of Dark Souls games, and
this one has a more canine-like head, and it was brown.
Okay.
And it would always find me in a place and fight me, and I couldn't beat it.
You sure it wasn't alcohol?
No, this was before I was doing that.
Maybe it was a premonition.
And it would always find me, and I would always fight it, but I would always lose, or at least come to a standstill. I couldn't ever beat it.
If you were to ever have an encounter with Bigfoot, how would you react? That's a good question, Zach. Now, from what I have gathered about Bigfoot and the books I've read, the studies I've read, and as many of you know, I'm not the biggest Bigfoot person. A lot of people are really into Bigfoot. That's where I just kind of dip my toe in the Bigfoot water. Going on what I've read, right? And I've read some really interesting accounts of Bigfoot. What I would do in the information that I have been read, studied, whatever. Probably be in awe, because everything I've read hasn't been a negative aspect. It's just been a leave me alone aspect. Do not come any further in, or 100% you're not going to like the outcome of doing that. So if I would meet a real life Bigfoot, right, because what I've heard is that the forest gets silent. You can't hear. You can hear a pin drop, right? There's no insects, there's no birds, there's no animals, nothing. It's just you and this being from the accounts that I've read. So I would definitely give it its respect, because obviously I'm somewhere in its domain, right? How would I react to that would be dependent on the Bigfoot. Now, obviously, if it starts trying to, come at me, yeah, I'm definitely not going to stick around to see what happens and fight a Bigfoot. If it's fight or flight response and I can't fight, obviously I'm going to fight. Will I win? Well, who knows? Any given Sunday, as people like to say. But for the most part, I would just remain calm. Like, what's the worst that the thing could do? Take me out? And that doesn't really scare me. So that doesn't bother me. And I think depending on how you approached it, if you would approach a being like this, because I think it's a being. I don't think it's necessary. Well, let me rephrase. I think it is something from the antediluvian period of our world. Our world has been flipped multiple times. And we look at the Sumerian Kings list, and there is a date on the Sumerian Kings list that is pre-antediluvian, post-antediluvian. Pre-antediluvian meaning before the world of the flood. So we're talking before that world into another world previous, right? Kings live in 250,000 years. I think it was like 200,000 years or something.
Yeah, ridiculous amounts.
Obviously, numbers could be off, right? But at the same time, there is a theory that runs around where it talks about poles shifting. And we talked about this on an episode of the show. And I think, personally, I obviously have no proof, just theory and conjecture, that the earth at one time was sustainable to a point where you lived hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. There has been many tales of folklore of immortal type of characters. We talked about this, Saint Germain, the homie Saint Germain. But before that, like I said, antediluvian, we have like Shaddad Benad, we have Noah. See, people understand Noah was an actual king. He actually had people.
Utnapishtim, as they would call him in Babylon.
Yes. Sumer.
Well, they carried that name forward into the Babylonian.
Yeah. Well, that's really what it is. Babylon is just Sumer.
Yes.
Sumer, like
they took over afterwards.
Babylon is just Sumer 2.0, much like Rome is just Greece 2.0.
You had Sumeria. The Akkadians came in,
Yep.
merged everything, and then the Babylonians came in and conquered both of them, and
Yep.
et cetera, et cetera. The Babylon ended up lasting the longest, I think, because it stayed relatively in its same identity as everything around it changed.
So what would you do if you met up with a Bigfoot? Want to be on an episode of This Uncanny Earth?
I'd be interested. I'd
Same.
observe it. I'd watch it. I don't think I'd be particularly. Knowing how the human body works, I might have the same thing, the fight or flight response.
Yeah, of course.
I would hope that my brain would be enough to be like, okay, you're seeing something that's pretty incredible. Stay put. Just watch it. And because I'm a bit of a jerk, if it attacked me, I'd be like, come on, Bigfoot.
Facts.
And probably get mauled.
We both would get mauled, probably.
But like,
because I'm not backing down from a Bigfoot.
I would get mauled from by a bear. Or something,
I would literally just look at him and be like, do you know the podcast I host?
I can't run fast enough to get away from things like a bear or like a wolf, so I just be like, come on, let's see how it goes.
Look, listen, here it is. Either A, right, I lose and get horribly murdered. It's a good chance of that. Or B, I win and I take out a Bigfoot. I'm a legend now. All right. And also on that same token, let's see, have to go back to paying bills, right? Or meet my ancestors and we have a big party. Don't know about you, but I'm picking the ancestral party. Go ahead, maul me. But I don't think Bigfoot is. I don't think Bigfoot is aggressive unless you're in its domain and you're doing something to disrupt its domain. I do think that the aggressive humanoid-like creatures that people run into could be ape-like creatures that existed here before the Europeans came in and before the industrial period came in. I do think there's remnants. I mean, they're still finding things in the ocean. What's to say they can't find things in different parts of our own country?
And I've said it before, I think Bigfoot is the remnants of Neanderthal.
That's what you think.
Because I think because we've got evidence that Neanderthal and modern man, as we like to call it, interbred.
Yes.
because we have some of those traits. Not all of us, but they're it exists in modern human bloodlines. No, I got regular forehead, but but I think Neanderthal, as their numbers dwindled, I don't think they all just completely just died out. I think some of them went into hiding in pockets because they didn't want to join modern man in whatever we were creating as a society. And I think they became more feral and they bred among themselves over long periods of time. And I think there's scattered pockets of leftovers still out there. I don't think they're going to last forever. I think Bigfoot as a creature is doomed to extinction, unfortunately. That's what I think, because there's so few of them as it is that it's so difficult for us to find them and see them anyway. And the more we advance our own territory, the less and less there is for beings like that. And so I think eventually they're going to die out completely. But that's what I think. I think they're basically leftovers from Neanderthal, honestly.
It's an interesting take. If you have more questions, leave them in the. I don't know. I don't like it's so like because it's not mirrored, which bothers me. Like I'm gonna fix that right now because I don't like it. I don't know if you can fix it. There we go. There.
I was over there.
Comments are down there.
I was over there.
Point to the comments.
I'm over here.
There. Thank you. He's pointing to the comments. If you got any more questions, please ask us. We have books here. If anybody has any questions about my books.
All the titles which are now backwards.
Are they backwards?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that one up there is Nila Srenturikan. They're going to be like, is he Russian? I got to mirror it back again. If you guys have any questions about the books, if you guys have any questions about those beautiful paintings that I have behind me, I have the cherry blossoms on my left. Left? No, because my left hand. Cherry blossoms and also this nice calming, warming sunset. Please, by all means, ask questions. We have Alien Encounters. We have the WV Case Expo, which I presented at last year. I'm going to be presenting there this year too. So I hope you guys are going to make it out. I've also been asked to be part of the Butler Paranormal Conference next year, April 20th, 2024 at the Lindor Senior Center. This is a big thing for me because I was there 3 years ago, right? Back in 2021, because it'll be 2024, 2021, right? And I remember thinking to myself, I got to get in here. I got to get in here. It's 2 hours away, so it's not that bad of a distance of a drive. And I think that'd be great. And I'm going to do it next year, and that's a goal for me. And I'm going to be accomplishing a goal. It's nice. Do you believe in a lot of the conspiracy theories and such? Okay, so here is my take on conspiracy theories. Yes, all of them. No, some, and the reason why I believe in a good chunk of them is because we have things like Operation Northwoods and Operation Paperclip. Operation Paperclip being the bringing over of Nazi Germany, like Nazi Germans, over to our country to help with things like rockets. I am joining.
Jet propulsion.
What was his name? Werner von Braun, right? Mm-hmm. He was a Nazi. And Operation Northwoods was the fake invasion to start a war with Cuba so we could invade Cuba. So, yes, there are certain things I 100% do believe in. And I feel like conspiracy theories are only conspiracy theories until they are proven to be true, in which they become facts. I don't think all conspiracy theories are true. There's some I just think that are flat Earth 100%. And listen, if you guys are flat earthers, just go ahead and unfollow me. Go ahead and, because it's not pretty over here. You know, it really isn't. I don't like flat earth. I think it is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of in my life, ever. Now, that being said, I do believe in some aspects of hollow earth, and I will tell you why. Because if you've ever been in a cave system, people can live in a cave system. A thing could live in a cave system. We have people that are uncovering these cave systems and going Hamburger Helper over. I like how we both did it at the same time. Going Hamburger Helper over these new finds. Now, don't drink the black sarcophagus water. Okay, first of all, do not do that. And the Roman cheese.
Yeah, it's not going to give you eternal
Those
life.
two, do not drink those two. Eat and drink those two together. But listen, that whole idea of the thank you. I was kind of worried because I was like, if they're like,
we love flat Earth,
I've been like, damn, lost another real one. No, but that's the whole point to me. Is like flat Earth is stupid. It's dumb. You can look.
It's scientifically.
If you have ever flown, all you got to fly in a plane. Fly in a plane one time in your life and get above the clouds on a day when it's really sunny out, because you can go up and the clouds won't be there. But the cloud line, I should say. The Earth is curved. Swim in an ocean. Earth is curved. Let me tell you guys something. The worst thing I've ever heard in my entire life, right? I said, okay, fly in a plane. This individual had the unmitigated gall, the audacity to say, well, Lockheed Martin just makes windows that make the Earth look curved. I was done. I literally was just like, there is no possible way I'm going to reason with the thing you have in your head. It's not a brain. It's got to be one of those toy brains. I don't understand it. It's riling me up right now. I'm having palpitations because I'm so angry about it. No, but some conspiracy theories, 100% yes, because they make sense. They make sense. Like putting stuff in our food. They 100% do that. I mean, they put stuff in all kinds of food. If you ever get a chance, they put stuff in inmates' food to try to keep them docile in a specific area. I'm not going to mention that, but you can look up the studies on that. How about you? Your thoughts on conspiracy theories? And then we'll get to the next.
You got to there's a lot of critical thinking you have to use to get into that kind of thing. Like some of them make perfect sense and other ones don't. Like when you look at stuff like certain assassinations of certain world leaders, like you look into the JFK assassination. Yes, there probably was something there. There's something not right about all that, but it's not quite as crazy probably as some people say.
I think it was more mafia cover because Jack Ruby was involved in that. He was a mafia guy.
The moon landing, yes, we did land on the moon. And the reason why.
If one more person says the moon landing is fake, I'm going to lose my ever-loving marbles.
The reason why is because other countries that are not our friends,
China and Russia
have been there, and they would tell on us.
They would have roasted us from here to oblivion.
Oh, the U.S. has never been there. Here's what the pictures look like. This is what it really is. But no, they've all agreed that they've all been there. Same thing with Mars and all that. Like there was a Chinese rover on Mars, or a lander of some kind, not long ago. So they saw the same pictures that we saw. So there's got to be, we've obviously have been there.
Okay.
Other things like the Q thing, and I don't want to go too deep into it because I don't want to get political.
Or the Pizzagate thing, like
that's part of the whole Q thing. The whole Q thing on the surface, when you first look into it, it's like, okay, I can see where you're coming from. But the more people talk about it and say, here's the evidence for it, the more ridiculous it gets.
It's like
the
a
more
YouTube.
It doesn't make
it's
sense.
Like a YouTube rabbit hole at 2 a.m, and you're like, why is my life in a spiral right now at this point?
Like to believe that all that stuff was going to happen is just getting more and more divorced from reality, and
100%.
it's just
good use of the word divorced from reality. By the way, that's
not. But again, there's other things like Philadelphia experiment. There's
which we did an episode on. Go back and check that out. www.youtube.com/@thisuncanny earth. Go pick it up. Check it out.
The whole Roswell thing. I think something, even if it wasn't actually aliens, I think
there was something there.
Something happened at Roswell that was secretive enough that they had to try to cover it up as best they could.
Listen, go ahead. Sorry.
Like I said, it may not be aliens. It may be something completely terrestrial, but it's something that no one was supposed to know about, and somebody dropped the ball.
I just read, or I was watching a YouTube video, but they had backed it up. It's one of those, like, it's not just a YouTube video. There's historical proof. The Black Castle in Germany, right? Supposedly the Nazis there, because Himmler and all them, they were deep into the occult, super deep into the occult, right? We're trying to converse with a Jinn King. Now, if you know what the Jinn Kings are, I'm going to be doing an episode on that in the future. We'll get to that. But the interesting thing is, there was a point in time of American and German and all these other places that were highly interested in the Middle East, which brings me to the conspiracy theory I 100% think is true, is that we are not over there in the Middle East for oil. I think that's the last thing we're over there for. That is the epicenter of our humanity. That is where there is so much history. We don't need to go there for it. We could literally go down to Venezuela, put a puppet dictator in, which the United States has done on record of putting puppet dictators in Latin America. Proof. But we could prop up a dictator, go in, take the oil, pay them off, kill the dictator, put somebody else in charge, and leave like nothing happened. Because we've done that. So to me, that's not why we're in the Middle East at all. You have the supposed Taliban destroying these artifacts and works of art. Now, granted, Orthodox religions are very, very like hardcore. Okay. And while I do believe that some points of Islam, some points of Christianity can 100% be destructive, I think for the most part, most Islamic folks just want to be left alone. They don't want to be droned by our presidents. I don't want them droned by our presidents because that's how you create terrorists, not the point here. But I think that that's one of the conspiracy theories for me is that we are there in the Middle East for something other than oil. That's just as much as we've been there, and with Jimmy Carter moving in to Iran and that whole Iran thing, and if you look at what Iran was Persia, and you look at Iraq, you look at Oman, Yemen, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Israel, Jordan, Lebanon, you have all these places that have overwhelming history and occult status things, and boom, we're there invading? I don't know. There it is. Hey, James Boggs here. What's up, James? Welcome, welcome, welcome. To get to the question from the wonderful, beautiful Apple Tree Jamboree, she says, what do you think is the most believable cryptid besides Bigfoot? What do you think it is? And if it's not Braxy, then we fight. I'm kidding.
Well, there's a lot of them out there. Like you've got the Beast of Bray Road.
No. What do you think is the most believable? Without naming 50
I'm
of them.
doing some comparisons.
Well, just
don't slow my roll here.
Easy. I'm not trying to fight. Jeez,
don't slow my roll. I'm on a roll.
Yeah, I thought it was a Kaiser roll.
I like Kaiser rolls.
Well, German
onion
rolls.
Brother. Anyway, now I'm hungry.
Check out our Uncanny Eats episode.
Yeah, I was gonna make sure we mentioned that too.
Oh, we will.
We will. I think Mothman, because I'm biased for one, and for two, because there's so many sightings.
Okay.
Like it's something that keeps being seen by people who have no contact with each other. It's not like a single thing. It's kind of like how Bigfoot, you see people see Bigfoot all over the place. A lot of the other ones, unfortunately, people saw them once and then they were gone. Like that's the problem with and that doesn't mean that it's not believable or that it didn't exist. But you take like the Flatwoods Green Monster, it was a single event over a certain period of time.
No, it was multiple events.
Right, over a certain period of time.
Frame
I was including that too. I'm including that.
The way you worded it, though, sounded like you made like one event.
I meant as like
multiple events over a short stretch of period.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't mean to be.
And then after that, you don't see it anymore. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It could have just visited once and then whatever it was doing, and it's gone. But Mothman, you see all the time.
Do you though?
Well, I don't. But I mean,
like if you see him, tell me. Have him get on the show.
People keep seeing this creature, and they don't know each other. They're not connected to each other. And I think it's an interesting point. They're seeing something, whether it's actually what we think of as Mothman or whether it's something else, we don't know. But for the moment, I think that's the most likely, other than Bigfoot, to be something that actually exists.
I'm going to jump into Native American folklore, and I think the Skinwalker or the Wendigo is probably the most that I feel to be a real life cryptid entity being. And I say this because we don't know about the old world. We don't know about the antediluvian world, let alone the world we have now. But I think there's something there. And I think that these people are either giving themselves over to something, because here's my thing. And I was able to do this. I was able to connect Cernunnos. Many of you know of Celtic mythology, which I have expounded upon. My 14% Irish. I'm kidding. But I'm
that horn. Two,
right? Right. But I was able to connect Native Americans to Cernunnos in the form of deer men. Deer men are a cryptid with like sometimes it'll be the upper part of a male or a deer on its hind legs, that sort of thing. And to me, either skinwalkers or the Wendigo, maybe not so much the Wendigo. The Wendigo could be more of a cannibalistic thing.
It seems more supernatural.
And that's, yeah. And I've heard it's a metaphor for something like wanting too much of something turns you into insatiable hunger, like a greed. It's like one of those, there's a word for it where like they'll tell a story, but it's wrapped in like a lesson type of a thing. There's a
like
name
an
for
Aesop's
it.
fable kind of thing.
Kind of.
There's I know there's another word for it.
I'll remember when we're done, of course. But
parable, morality play.
Yeah.
We're touching like the orbit.
Yes.
But
Yes.
Anyway, back to the point.
But skinwalkers to me, Apple would be the most real cryptid that I could think of, because one, it's man's communication with nature. And two, because there's so much nature stuff. I was almost going to say fae folk or not fairy, because fairy is it's a broad spectrum term that we covered this on the show. But for me, it would have to be skinwalkers, because there's just so many accounts. There's so many legends. There's people that have supposedly seen them, Skinwalker Ranch. There's all these different things that would lead me to believe that they are the real cryptid. So there you go. James Bogg says, notice the paranormal activity in the Near East and the fact that the angels landing on Mount Hermon. Yes, a little bit of Enoch there. Andy says, skinwalkers are for sure real. I believe that too. And Apple says, perhaps they're taking the forms of other cryptids, which is possible, almost like a mirroring type of thing. Because I think the Beast of Bray Road is a skinwalker. I don't think
it could be.
It's either a skinwalker or a werewolf, but I think those two are I think those terms are interchangeable. I think a werewolf, well, not interchangeable, but I think a werewolf is a skinwalker, because the werewolf, the lupine aspect, comes from the old tale of he's the first. It's where Lycan, King Lycan, I think, or something like that. It's where lycanthrope, that term comes from. There was an old king that got cursed, I think, by Zeus to become that. There's a tale. I'm sorry, guys. I'm kind of butchering it, but you guys know what I'm talking about. But that's a good point, Apple, that they are taking the form of other cryptids. I mean, it's why wouldn't they? Because people already don't believe a lot of cryptids exist. So if they would take the form of say like a Bigfoot or something, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I saw this. No, you didn't. They're not real.
Take a quick bathroom.
Yeah, go ahead. I will.
Live broadcast.
Live broadcast. We got to. Yes, Native Americans in the East. Anyway, told stories about we people also. Longitude seems to have a lot to do with it. Yes, ley lines are very much a real thing. That is why the Vatican itself sits on one of the primary ley points on our planet. Good point. Roswell and Mount Hermon both on the 33 parallel. But let me interject this though, James. I don't think that those two places were, how do I put this? I don't think Mount Hermon was in that location, because remember, we have to remember that the Earth, that our continents didn't look like they did. So that one might be a little off. No disrespect. I love listening to the stories in Ireland of people getting transported to other worlds by fae. However, I don't know if I believe fairies are the reason behind it. And you are correct. King Lycan cursed by Zeus. Thought so. It's like I have so much that goes on up here with folklore and stuff. Sometimes I just got to pick apart the brain. But in terms of being transported to the worlds, I believe that's possible. But I believe it's either a specific thing or it's not. Thank you. Little Beans and Rice is here. He is saying all the disrespect. Little Beans, you are joining the show. This is the show that I do. This isn't me streaming on Twitch, man. This is the show I do. Welcome. But yeah, skinwalkers to me are probably the actual most legit out of everything. Cerebees has showed up. If anybody's disrespecting Robert, it is me. Hello, the show. Thank you. This is my co-host, everyone. He had to take a bathroom break because we're wild. It's my boy Skater. I'm Skater. This is Avalanche. we made up this whole skit of like 90s reviews where I'm Skater and he's Avalanche. So But yeah, I think the Skinwalker for me, he thinks the Mothman is the most validated cryptid. If you guys have any paranormal or any sort of question like that for us, please let us know. Little Beans and Rice is in California. One of my favorite stories in California are known as the Dark Watchers. I think it is Mount Shasta, which is supposed to be the most paranormal point in, California. We have a couple friends out there up in Mount Shasta. And I think, to me, one of the coolest things I've ever heard is the Dark Watchers that just watch. They just stand up and they look out over the area. But if you get close to them, they disappear. But why are they there? This is a legend that I asked a Native American about, and he told me it's best not to talk about it. All right. So Serby says Skater and Avalanche sound like a B-rate G.I. Joe character in a later run of figures. Or Transformers. Right. Or Transformers. Yeah. You can go either way on that That's one.
About right.
Hello, Mr. the co-host, says Little Beans and Rice. Little Beans and Rice is a good friend of mine, good guy. Y'all go check him out on his stream over there on Twitch. He likes to build the Legos. I have got a James Bond old school, it's over there, that I am working on building for the channel here at some point. So
the Aston Martin.
I picked up the Aston Martin. It's a Lego Aston Martin. We put that together live on the channel because that's what I could afford at the time, because Legos are mad expensive. Did not realize that when I bought them.
Yes.
So very pricey, but it's fine. It's going to be fun. So we're going to be doing that at some point. But if you guys have any questions, paranormal, cryptid, anything, you want to know about the books behind me, just ask. That's what we're here for. It's basically an AMA tonight that we're doing.
While we got the chance, we should probably prop the various things that we've got going on. Like we mentioned earlier, we did a video for a new Uncanny Media segment that we're just starting.
Game. I'm not going to tell you, we ain't going to give you the reviews. Tonight we had some cuttlefish snacks. That's right, cuttlefish snacks. We also had some taro root chips. It's supposed to rain about 10.
Yep.
I got to stop flexing all the time. Taking everybody down to trip to Flexico. And finally, we tried some brown sugar bubble tea. I'll edit that in post.
Organize the thoughts.
We're going to be starting a new show, Uncanny Eats. That is the first episode. We'll be putting that up very soon for you guys. I did a little bit of editing. Apologies, too, for the camera focus and some things. Things happen. It's life. All right, let's see here. I'll watch that. What cryptid do you find most interesting and why? Oh. You go first. Is this going to be Mothman again?
Not necessarily. I mean, I like Mothman, but I like... What's that goblin thing that was in the Bridgewater Triangle? What was it?
The tea lady coming to get me.
What is it?
It's not the Baba Yaga.
No. The Pokey or what was it?
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
It's the something oaky or whatever.
Yes.
It's like a pot-bellied creature that kind of hangs out in the trees. I think that's really interesting because that's another thing that I could see as being a throwback offshoot from back in the day.
Yes.
Because they found evidence. Somebody had mentioned how the Native Americans remember like we people. Mm-hmm. They have found skeletons of what they've called hobbits, which is an offshoot of humans that were small in stature. And there could be some survivors of that culture around, or maybe there were until recent memory. Who knows? We don't know when some of the stuff may have
the Pukwudgie?
Pukwudgie.
Nice job.
That's it. Yep.
So Cerebees does not appreciate you calling him a potbelly, by the way. It's very disrespectful.
I mean, if the potbelly fits. I'm kidding.
He's not.
I don't know.
He's not.
But
he doesn't need to know you.
But the Pukwudgie is interesting.
Okay.
And the one in Ohio, the frog.
The Loveland frog monster man?
Yeah. Because that's interesting too.
Okay.
Because it's another example of things like we don't know what all animals are actually out there. We're constantly fighting new species. Some places we are.
Cryptid wars.
But we're constantly fighting
only on the Travel Channel.
And things, especially in the oceans and new insects that have been here for a long time. We just never noticed them.
for me, the cryptid that cries all the time. It's an Ohio cryptid.
I know what it
sounds
is, and I
familiar.
can't remember it off the top of my head, but I know what it is.
Somebody hit the Google train for us and Google that for us. The most fascinating cryptid to me, it used to be the Flatwoods Green Monster, but I have bombarded myself with information regarding that whole case. So, excuse me, it doesn't hold the same wonderment for me.
Oh, it's the one where they tried to put it in the bag and then tried to capture it the one time. And then when they got there, were going, it was gone because it disappears.
I don't remember this.
Yeah, it sits and it cries. It's like a big pig-like.
Oh, we did this.
Yeah.
It's like a human pig hybrid.
And it's just like seems
Yes.
so miserable. And if you try to catch it, because it won't stop you, it won't try to run from you or anything. But if you try to catch it and you put it in a container, it'll be gone.
Yes.
Like it'll disappear when you get to where you're going.
My most interesting cryptid to me at present. To look back in my books, make sure there's not one I'm missing, because I don't necessarily consider Jinn to be cryptids. I would say the Beast of Bray Road's probably one of the most interesting ones to me, because it is a werewolf, but it's also a dog man, but it's also could be a skinwalker. I found that whole notion, like we're going to go to Bray Road one of these days. At night, we're going to drive down. We're going to see what happens. But to me, I think that one and the Loveland Frog Monster is very interesting, because I think it's a chemical, either it's a chemical mutation or it is a physiological mutation. So either of those two. I still love Braxy. I still love the Mothman. But I know about those. I've researched those ad nauseum. But to me, it's got to be definitely that. Why would I look up Ohio cryptids to see pics of a man frog? Donut Multiverse. What's up, Donut? What's going on? It is not Roblox. This is This Uncanny Earth show. You are tuned in to the show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. La Llorona is embedded into my soul. So here's something I think is fascinating, Little Beans, that I don't know if you know much about, but Santa Muerte is one of my favorite research topics. And I actually have, and I didn't forget your what are the books behind you, James. I did not forget about you, my friend. But I have a book. Is it back here? Is it not back here? I do not think it's back here. I do not have I'll put my glasses on. I'm gonna put my glasses on.
Gotta
Here
get
you
that
go,
glare.
glasses. I don't think it's here. It might be. Is it over there? It might be. Anyways, it is the. Oh, it's right there. You see where that music maker? No, those are things. Darn it! I always lose stuff. I swear. It's a smaller book. It's a book how to summon Santa Muerte and the different rituals that you can use to summon Santa Muerte. Apple knows the book I'm talking about. She knows the exact book I'm talking about. I don't have it. It's here somewhere floating. Like I literally know it's here. It's not floating. I mean, it's not paranormal.
If it was floating, I think you'd have.
I would be like, there it is. I know. I would be like, thank you, Santa Muerte. But Santa Muerte is one of my favorite topics, just because it's fascinating. When you really learn about it. Oh, right here. I will show you. I keep it right next to me because we are going to be doing a future This Uncanny Earth episode on spells.
It'd be interesting because I've actually done some spell work.
Boom. And look at that. Encyclopedia of 5,000 spells. It's right here, Benson. It's right there. Right there. The ultimate reference book for the magical arts. Wow. Right there. There it is. I haven't fit it back there because like the biggest book I have back there is my Elemental Encyclopedia of Secret Societies, which I have to wonder if the same company made this that made that, because they're very strikingly similar. Similar. It's a simulation. Similar. So there you go. This gonna be weekly? Yeah.
It
Yeah,
actually
it's
has
every
been weekly
Yeah,
for
it's
what,
weekly.
4 years?
Yeah, 4 years. 2018, 19, 20.
This was the first.
5 years. It'll be 5 years in August.
We've only been doing video for almost a year now.
Yes.
We usually just did audio. So yeah, and this is going to be broadcast to Twitch as well as YouTube and Facebook on a regular basis now from here on out. We just recently got his Twitch connected to it. So if you haven't seen it before, now you know why. So
the book is really neat, Apple. Thank you for lending it to me.
Boom. Thunder.
Taking you guys to Flexico. Okay. But I've been looking through it and might try one or two. Don't know. We'll see where the world takes us. Hey! I have the Elemental Encyclopedia of Secret Societies. And I have a couple other ebooks of the Elemental books. So yeah. And James wanted to know, hopefully he's still here, what books do I have behind me? Well, let's go here. Starting on my, what is this, my left? Yes. Or my right.
That's
It'd be
your
my
right.
right. Well, I'm facing,
Yeah.
This is your left. That's your left. This is your right. You're going to die.
Cut that out in post.
Cut it in post. So right here on our far left, if you guys are looking left, because that's where it is left, that is my Christian section where I have the concordant, literal New and Old Testaments. I have 2 other Bibles, a Cambridge Bible and just a Bible I got from a church I used to attend. I have the Apocrypha, which were books that were removed from the Bible by the Council of Nicaea. I have the Dead Sea Scrolls. I have some lost scriptures. I have the Handbook of Denominations. We move on over. This is more of my Islamic, Judaic aspects, where I have the Atlas of Judaism, the Nag Hammadi Library, which is more Gnostic, esoteric stuff, the Sign and the Seal related to the Ark of the Covenant, Fallen Angels, which is the Book of Enoch, Extraordinary Groups, which talks about the Amish, the Mormons, and a couple other really fascinating groups. Then I have the book next to that is the Shims al-Makharif. Now, the Shims al-Makharif that might not be the full version, but that is a grimoire or an Arabic spell book that I have been looking to acquire for a very, very long time. Now, then I have 1, 2, 3 copies of the Holy Quran, which one was given to me by Apple. So thank you, Apple. Another one I got in the mail. I asked them to send me a free copy, and one I bought from a bookstore. Then I have the Tales of the Marvelous and the Strange, which Apple bought for me as I believe, a birthday gift or a gift in general. Then we move over, we get into our world mythology and esoteric aspect. Land in the Book, which I got from my bookstore, the Norse Myths, World Mythology, a random trigonometry book because I do love my math. The Golden Builders, which is a lot of Secret Society stuff. Secret History of the World, Secret Society stuff. The Quadrivium, which you have the Quadrivium, don't you?
Yeah, we both have a copy.
The Spiritual Interpretation of History, and Dante's Inferno, the Divine Comedy. Then to the bottom of my Christian shelf, we have the more scientific stuff with From Black Land to Fifth Sun, which is like a take on all the different areas. Ancient Mysteries, which is a book I do not enjoy because it is very condescending and very they try to poke holes in everything they possibly can. Then the Manhattan Project, dealing with Robert Oppenheimer, obviously. Then we have Monuments of Mars by Richard C. Hoagland, who I've followed for a very long time. Let's be library, I have 1,000 books then. And then I have Hitler Scientist, Unsolved Mysteries, Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, a couple Fate magazines. Moving over, I have Great Mysteries, Strange Stories, and Amazing Facts. My grandma had that book. Then I have a book about Tesla, then the Fantastic Inventions of Nikola Tesla, then a book about Nikola Tesla, then a kid's book about Nikola Tesla, which I'm going to give to my son at one point. Then I have my ghost books, and then I have a couple more stuff. Sociology, Giant Section, American History, more of my older stuff, Argonautica, The Odyssey, a couple copies of The Odyssey, Nicomachean Ethics by Aristotle, Little Rogue's Hollow book there, Hidden Symbolism of Alchemy and the Occult Arts, Secret Teaching of All Ages by Manly P. Hall. Then we go over, and I got a little bit, I got the homies from Posters Smashed, Stephen Nagy and his sister, Rosemary. I have World War II in Akron. I have The Mystery of Serpent Mound, which I found the other day. I didn't realize I bought it. This is little. I keep finding books I didn't know I bought. And then I have Zechariah Sitchin's Earth Chronicle series after that. So there you guys go. A little crash course. The blue encyclopedia is on the bottom left for you guys. My parents bought me those when I was a kid. So they knew my love of history, and I used to sit with those and read them. So there you go. Let's get into some other question. What do you think of the theory of Bigfoot being a human? We'll get into that. He just talked about that kind of. The old historical spells are just interesting to look at, but ingredients either impossible to find or exceptionally tedious. I still want to try because those would probably work. True. Is La Santum Muerte a cryptid or a myth or idol? Or could it be something a little bit more insidious? I keep thinking Apple, the company, bought you all these books. Yes. Yes, she did.
Steve Jobs signed this one personally.
She did, 100%. That is who it is. It's actually an AI, and she's just the company. I have enough books to legally be called a library. That's 100% fact. I've seen her library. I've been, and yes, she's 100% does have that many books. Donut says that's an already amazing collection, which thank you very much, Donut. I am always collecting more. I have more upstairs. And there's a whole other bookshelf to the right of myself, to the left of you guys. Spider can look over there. I've got the Great Cat Massacre. I have, which was like a thing in like France, I think, and dealing with some crazy stuff that happened back in the day. I have books on flooring and tiling, basic wiring, paint and wallpaper. Yes, I'm a man of all, jack of trades. I've got a couple computer books. I've got Howl's Moving Castle over there. I have Castle in the Sand over there. I have a book about propulsion. I have, you name it, I've got books. So I see your library of the paranormal rivals my own. Would love to see your library, James. I love a good paranormal library myself. Apple says that is a quality collection, one which you actually helped me gain. So thank you very much for that. No, Dr. Seuss. Oh, you doubt my powers so very much. I'll go upstairs right now. We get 10 apples up on top. We can get Horton Hears a Who. We get the Big Teeth book. You want to do this dance? We can do this dance, Donut. Do not test me, my friend. Gotta love the smell of an old book collection. Now, the book, where you at? Right here. 1, 2, third shelf over, the Land and the Book. It's a very smell good old time book. Got that at a antique store in Charleston, actually. So very, very, very awesome. Whew, that was a lot to say. All right. What do you think of the theory of Bigfoot being a human?
We mentioned this earlier on, actually. I said that I think Bigfoot is leftover of Neanderthal, which is basically a form of human. And I think that's really where the mystery is. I think it kind of both evolved and de-evolved at the same time in order to survive away from modern humans. And that's just the direction it went.
I personally think Bigfoot isn't really a human. I think it is a creature of the antediluvian period. That's what I think. Or even if we want to go a little bit further, a creature pre-industrialization. That's what I think. I think a lot of these cryptids and creatures existed more in abundance. Fae folk, fairy folk, all that kind of stuff existed in abundance. But I think once industrialization came into the play, I think all the actors of that variety ran stage left. And I think they went to their respective areas. And that's what I think happened. I think that we take for granted the world around us because we live in a world where it's just consume media all the time. You know, watch the latest TikTok dance, but don't dare look up anything that's historical. And I think because when you look up historical stuff, you become kind of dangerous. You become dangerous to the uneducated around you, those that don't research, those that don't do the due diligence of doing their work. And I think that is something that we must preserve at any cost. Even if history isn't good, it isn't bad, it's history, whether you like it or not. Horrible things have happened. People like to point and say, well, you have things like slavery, you have things like the Holocaust, bad things. Yes.
And it's important to remember those things. You should never, ever try to erase them. And I know we don't want to get on any kind of political soapbox as far as like statues and things that get taken down and whatnot, but it's still I think we should leave these things there
Yes.
for people to
Agreed.
learn from, not to
Yes.
glorify necessarily, because if it's somebody that did a bad thing, you don't want to put it up and celebrate that person necessarily. But if they did that bad thing, you want to remember that they did that bad thing. You don't want that to go away and forget about it.
Cosmaster Ogway. Yeah, and I agree. I don't think any monuments should be torn down at all. You have to leave things up because the minute you remove them from sight and people, these things happen all over again. And
People forget.
And history repeats itself. And if you don't have a constant reminder, then you're going to keep doing the same things. And I know a lot of people like to compare Germany to the monuments being removed, but Germany's a whole different country. They were a homogenous nation. They're not a homogenous nation now. But I think that because people talk about the Holocaust, but yet know nothing about Unit 731. They don't. A lot of people don't. I will talk to them and say, you know about Unit 731, right? But they don't. And Unit 731, when you have Hitler writing Hirohito about this and saying, man, you guys are rough. So for those of you that don't know what Unit 731 is, and we have a show. That one might be on Anchor or Spotify. That was our audio only days. There's a book.
Ones, actually.
Yeah, there's a book called The Rape of Nanking by Iris Chang. I recommend that everybody reads it at least one time in your life. You should read that book. I read it when I was in college, and it was
There are photographs in there that are particularly graphic, but they're 100%. Historical things things actually happened, and it's hard. It's hard to look at, but it's important to remember because this was something that happened because certain groups of people felt that other groups of people were less than human, and they just did these experiments and these terrible atrocities to, and it's important not to forget that kind of thing.
Uncanny, have any plans next Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time? That is 10/9/8. What's going on, man? Hit me with it. That's 8 o'clock my time on Saturday. What you got for me, buddy? Lay it on me. And what I think of Santa Muerte, I think that Santa Muerte is probably a being or a... Is it? Oh,
because
yeah.
It's the other way.
I went the other way.
I was thinking it through in my head. I was like, I think you got that backwards.
I get that backwards. Anyways, what you got for me? 2 p.m. Still, what you got for me? I'm good. But I think Santa Muerte is probably either a being of some form, an old god that saw, because a lot of people don't understand that Catholicism in Mexico and South America is actually a combining of beliefs, right? It's a combining of their gods, Aztec, Mayans, Incans, that kind of stuff, mixed with Catholicism. And I think that Santa Muerte is one of those beings from that folklore that managed to get in and become a saint. There you go. We're doing an episode on cryptids, and I'd love to have someone that knows more about them with us. I am down. I'm your man. Let's get it. 2 p.m. Saturday. I will 100% be there. It is an accepted practice of war to dehumanize your enemy.
That's an unfortunate truth.
And that's true. That's why Sun Tzu talks of using women and children. They're the last people you expect. Women and children.
And that's why in the U.S.,
okay,
I'm gonna say,
I'll be here.
I'm gonna say an offensive term, but not in a means to be offensive. But it's why a lot of times when you have people who, after 9/11, when we went to Afghanistan, when people said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna take it to those ragheads," because that's reducing them in your mind to something else. I'm not using that as a term of something that I would say to a person, again, just for illustrative purposes.
Never.
But I see where your point. It is something that happens, unfortunately. We instantly see people that we think are against us as something other than
We got
us.
canceled. Donut canceled us. Damn it.
I tried. I was trying to be respectful.
You got us canceled.
Damn, trying to be respectful.
Hold on. I'll fix it. I would just like to apologize to all my friends and my family for evening, everything that I have said today. But yeah, it's horribly, yeah. Uncanceled. Little Beans uncanceled us. All right. Yeah. Uncanceled. But like I said, yeah, like, why wouldn't you? We, everybody tends to think that, oh, these people are terrible because of what they did. But I had a conversation with a buddy of mine the other day, and we were talking about the Mongol Empire. Now, if you guys don't know about the Mongols, they conquered most of the known world, much like Alexander the Great. And they raped and they pillaged and they didn't leave people alive for a reason. If you leave your enemies alive, they're going to come back for you, which is why when we were busy drone striking the Middle East, we created a new wave of terrorists. And can you blame them? If somebody would take your child from you, right, you would be on a warpath. I would turn over the entire flat earth. I mean, the entire earth. Kidding. In retaliation. And I think that we don't understand that. Because if you look at the Mongols, they raped and pillaged, they destroyed. They didn't leave nothing. And I guess like
fields and all kinds of things.
I guess like a good chunk of DNA is Mongolian, because Genghis Khan was just out here and here and here and here. And I mean, that's just the way it is. He you know what? I didn't say it, but Sarah B said it. He boned his way through Asia. Yes, he did. I didn't say
that's a good note to get towards the end on.
But yeah, I mean, and that's what I think too. I think that we as a civilization don't really understand war, because most of us, at least us here in the United States, we've never been to war in our own nation. We live a pretty nice life. I'll be out there using Toyota Tacomas as tanks as well. Facts.
Toyota trucks are pretty darn tough. That's why that's why they use them for things like that with the mounted machine guns.
You do something to my family and I'm coming for you. And I think too, that's why you have this sort of anti-Western or anti-American ideology in a lot of these places. It's on site. And part of me cannot be mad. And I mean, that's just how it is. Look at human history. I get surprised at other people when they are baffled by humans' capacity for violence.
Yeah. It's unfortunately human nature.
Tacticals.
Like it really is unfortunate. It is something that's been with us for our entire history. And I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. I don't think it's going to turn into some utopian view of like Star Trek in the future where everybody's paid for it, everybody's taken care of it in our homes systems. I don't know. I mean, I can hope otherwise, but
and I think like the more you try to rationalize violence, the less it's going to make sense to you, because sometimes violence doesn't make sense. Sometimes violence has to be done. You got to prove a point sometimes. That's really all it is. And that's just facts. Ford Fortress. I don't want a self-aware Toyota. AI Nissan. So,
well, we've been on for about an hour.
All right. Are you my dad? What are you doing?
Yeah.
I want to talk about my
time
books.
to go eat your dinner. Go to bed time.
No.
Brush your teeth.
Make me. I've been working out, Dad. Honda Element.
That would be pretty surprising. That would be very surprising. I'd be surprised.
The pilot. Don't forget about the pilot. Yeah, get off of this. I got a computer to build. We're not done. We're just done here. Well, maybe we're done. I don't know. Maybe we'll call it tonight. So, but that's it. We're done. I want to thank everybody that showed up. Everybody came out for the show.
This was a really great response.
This has been one of my favorite
every
episodes.
Friday now. Every Friday, generally at 10 p.m.
10 p.m.
We want to see you there now.
Yeah, because if you don't show up next Friday at 10 p.m., well, we won't be live because we'll have that thing.
Well, yeah.
We got a thing next Friday, but you guys should show up and watch it. It's very cool. It's very cool. We did a very cool thing today.
We usually are live every Friday.
Yeah.
We have an interview we got to put up that's pre-recorded. But
it's a good one. You guys do not want to miss this one. This is one of the best interviews we've done. So thank you all. This has been the most talkative that we have had.
Yeah.
So
I love seeing a full
guys.
chat room.
We love you guys.
It doesn't happen much anymore, which is very sad.
But it happened. It was awesome. You guys are freaking amazing. We love you guys. Of course, thank you. Thank you. the new 2023 Honda Kamikaze Pilot.
That's borderline.
Oh, you're going to get us canceled again, Little Beans. Knock it off.
That's
You're
borderline.
going to get us canceled. Relax. Just use one of those Mitsubishi vans. Those will, you know what? No. That's just a Tesla. All right, you guys. Cerebreeze is suspended for his Japanese family members. We got to get out of here before he gets us canceled too. We love you guys. Take care of yourselves. And as always, why be boring when you can be uncanny? Next week, the interview. Don't miss it. Peace. I'm going to end it this time.